champion, top of the line. Yeah, everything came together, planets align. This really what we do, we in it for life. Nah, ayy. D1 champion, top of the line. Yeah, everything came together, planets align. This really what we do, we in it for life.
And we're back. Welcome back to the Meatzy show. And man, we are here with another up-and-comer fighter out of Mid City MMA out of New Orleans. Got to watch him in his third amateur fight at Fury 122. He got a win against Daniel Betts. Round 3 minutes into it by Kimura. Really nasty, really nasty. You've seen it on the highlights before. But let's welcome BRYCE BAUDIN. What's up, dude? Thank you for your time. How's it going, brother?
Oh, it's pretty good. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, it's been good. It's been great. You know, just been laying low, eating, having fun, relaxing, enjoying the little bit of break that I have, you know, after a win, you know, take a little time off and then, you know, get back to it. But yeah, just been laying low. Nothing crazy.
Awesome. And how soon after that victory over Daniel did you get back in the gym?
I think I took a couple days off and I got back. It was the next week. But you know, there's a lot of mental stress, your physical stress. Even if you don't come out of the fight with like huge injuries, you still take a lot of time to let your nervous system and everything regenerate. So I took a few days off, but I was back in there within a couple days.
Awesome. It seems like all of y'all were back in there. It seemed like Sean was back, Merrick was back in there, Jason was back in there. It seems like the whole crew. Seems like a really tight-knit crew at Mid City MMA. What can you tell us about the feel and the atmosphere over there that makes it feel like that?
Yeah. So I say this a lot. I say it all the time. And I glaze the gym a lot. I think we're the best team in the world. I think just our fighters, we're all at, in a sense, the same level in like in a point where we're up and comers. We have one fighter in UFC, Carlos, but everybody else is just we're no one really knows us yet. But in a couple years, that's when everybody's gonna realize, okay, this gym is serious. And it's gotten to a point where it's not just a bunch of good guys in a gym. We're like all family, you know, like we're all genuinely want to get each other better, and we're all at, you know, a pretty high level for where we're at in our careers, and we're able to push ourselves. You know, we have Ton Lee, we have Sean Gayton, we have Carlos. We have such a deep room also that's like, you know, if you have a mentor in your life, it's somebody who went through everything that you are going to go through, and they just help you along that process, and that's what those guys do. And then, you know, us, you know, we sharpen each other. So it's a great atmosphere, and I think we're going to produce a lot of great talent in the near future.
And it does seem like that because Fury FC 122, Mid City MMA showed out. And they showed everybody on UFC Fight Pass that Louisiana has some fighters that are going to be reckoned with. You know, and they're not scared to fight. You know, Asher climbing against Cameron, short notice. Even shout out again, Cameron. You know, we talked about that. Even your opponent, Daniel Betts, like he seemed like a tough opponent. You know, he lasted all the way 2.5 rounds. You know, before you finally got him. What was it about him that made it so difficult for him to get him out, and it took to round 3?
You know, I think I'm new to it, right? So new to being in the cage. So there's a difference from being in the gym and sparring and being in the cage. There's real emotion when you're in there. So, you know, with every fight, you learn stuff that you couldn't learn if you didn't fight. You know, my last fight, you know, I learned some mental things that I had to learn that I would have learned from a fight. Or, you know, in this one, you know, I came out a little too hot. I was throwing a little too hard. That kind of slowed me down. And I think once everything kind of like passed by in the first round, the second round I came out and I had my wits about me. I was more, you know, calmer, more collected. And that's when I was able to just get the finish. And I was more just locked in, and like I knew where I was. I was more present. Where before I was just kind of throwing, you know, I was still doing good things, but I was just throwing I came out a little too hot.
It did seem like because I was in attendance. It did seem like not the moment was too big, but you were just filling out the moment a lot. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
and you were kind of picking your shots. You hit him with a couple head kick attempts. You know that he ended up blocking, but it kind of kept him on his back foot. And then once you could kind of see it, once it kind of clicked for you, just like you're saying, and that especially in that third round. In that third round, I just found you just came out and it was like, you know what? Okay, it's on now, and just went out and dominated him.
Mhm.
And then once you got him down, I think he was just overmatched at that point. Is the grappling something that you feel you're better at than the striking?
Um, I would say that there wasn't what. I love striking. Striking is my thing, but something I did learn from my last fight was you got to take the fight where it's got to go. You can't try to strike with somebody who's overwhelming you or doing stuff. You wherever the fight takes you, you got to take it. So, I'm not scared to grapple. So if I have to take them down, or I'm gonna use those attributes. It's an MMA fight. It's not a boxing fight. It's not a striking fight. It's MMA. So I'm gonna take the fight wherever I need to win the fight, wherever I need to take it to win it. I'm gonna take it there. So, I would say there wasn't what though. I
Yeah,
wouldn't say, once well, I'm not like I wouldn't say I'm a grappler or I'm a striker. I would say, I'm a mixed martial artist.
yeah, yeah. That's a great answer. Great answer. So, what's your favorite submission?
Um, right now,
Well, that
I'd have to say
Kimura was
Kimura.
nasty,
Yeah, I'd
bro. It
have to
was
say Kimura.
nasty, dude.
Yeah,
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 dude,
yeah.
it was nasty, dude. I was like, ow,
No,
hell yeah, bro.
yeah,
Heck
no.
yeah,
That's
heck
something
yeah.
that we train in the training room, and you have all these tools, but when you're training with the guys you like I train with, you don't really know what's gonna work and what's not, just because these guys are so good. And they'll block that, they'll block this. So when I locked that on and I felt that arm rip out, I was like, okay, this is like I got this. This is there was no better
Yeah,
feeling in that moment.
yeah,
When it's
it's
like I
on.
got
It's
it, it's
on
over.
now.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's on now. And how old are you?
19.
Oh yeah, and I figured you were young, real young. So three
Mhm.
amateur fights at 19, and what? Okay, so give everybody that's listening, what's the difference in like the moment? Because your first fight was against Blake Morton on Bayou Fighting Championship,
Yeah, yeah.
and then you went up to the LFL and you fought Jackson Ray. But Fury is a level above both of
Yeah,
those,
yeah, yeah.
and we're just being honest here. Not no disrespect to
No,
them
no,
two
no.
organizations; they're great organizations. But Fury, and they have that little bit higher up, even in competition. What is
Mhm.
it like going from them lower ones to like, oh shoot, now I'm on pay-per-view. Now I'm on the big lights, the big stage. Give people an idea of how that feels.
Um, They our coaches stress a lot. Like putting yourselves in situations that you're gonna be in the future. So, one of our main training partners is Sean King. We
Shout out, Sean.
shout out Sean. Yeah, he's helped me out so much in terms of bringing me places where like I'm gonna be in the future, and I'm kind of just living it already. So when I get there, it's not as big or not as scary or overwhelming as it is seeing it for the first time. So, I mean, I remember it was crazy. The first time I went in the back for the BFC, I wasn't fighting or anything, but my teammates were fighting, and my coach was like, "Yeah, come to the back, see what it's like." And I walked in the back, and I was overwhelmed by nerves
Mm,
and like scare, like seeing everything back there. It was actually like it was crazy, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. And then fast forward, I stepped back, I walked back there to make my debut, my amateur debut, and it was calmness, it was familiar, everything was it was nothing was new. I already been through this 5 to 7 times before being in the back with my teammates and stuff. So you know Sean has been fighting on Fury, and I've been traveling with him. I've been in the back there, so it was just another a bunch of mental reps before I got there. So when I was back
mm,
there, it was nothing new to me. But it was definitely an amazing experience being on a bigger platform, be able to showcase my skills, and then go out there and have a dominant performance. It was amazing. It definitely was. But yeah, it's those step ups. It's test.
yeah,
It's putting yourself in uncomfortable positions and yeah, it's those promotions, like you said. There's nothing. There's different promotions for different reasons.
yeah, yeah.
Fury's that higher promotion. They're gonna feed you to the UFC, but other promotions, they're just there's different things to them. But yeah, other than that, I mean, it's just more familiar for me, less than a first time experience.
Yeah. Well, and be thankful you can have those experiences to go about,
Definitely.
getting it with your teammates back there, getting the feel of it. Like you said, you overwhelmed at first. And then now when you're putting up gloves and you're getting your hands taped, and you're actually going for it, it's like,
Hmm.
okay, I've been here before. We used to
Yeah.
have an old coach tell us all the time, like if we were playing bad in sports or whatever, he'd get so mad at us that he'd call us together and he was like, act like you've been here before.
Hmm.
Like get rid of all
Definitely.
that nervousness, get rid of all that, that bad energy. Like act like you've been here before, and then
Yeah.
you get more calm, you get more confidence. And once that confidence builds, and you've seen it against Daniel Belts, once your confidence built
Oh,
up
definitely.
into that round three, like shout out to Daniel Betts, but it was no competition after that. It was
Hmm.
like, oh, hey, I'm feeling it now. I
Yeah,
got my
yeah,
confidence, and we kind of seen it. I don't know if you watched the fights last night, but you kind of seen it with Gary kind of get his confidence up
yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit, towards the end, and then you seen it with Jillian Robinson against Mackenzie Dern towards the
Hmm.
end. That last round, she was gaining her confidence. It just at that point the fight's over.
Yeah. No, yeah.
You got to do something in them first rounds. So 3-0 as an amateur. How many amateur fights do you think you'll take before you try to make your pro debut?
Um, that's something I kind of leave up to my coaches.
Hmm.
It's more of, and I wouldn't say leave up to my coaches, but it's more of like a both people thing. They'll like tell me, hey, I think one more fight and you're ready. But um, me being so young, I'm not in no rush. I want to develop my skills. I want to get as good as I can. I want to search for them losses in my amateur career. Obviously I want to win, but let's fight these tough fights. Let's fight these harder opponents. That way I go through the trials and errors as an amateur and not as a pro, and my record is permanent. So I yeah, I'm taking it slow. Maybe fight quarterly. Maybe get one more by the end of this year. God willingly, I'll be 4-0. Maybe four next year, 8-0. And then turn pro from there. That's kind of like my overall, game plan. If everything goes good, and then yeah, I'll be 2021 turning. I mean 21, 22 turning pro. So and then as soon as I turn pro, I want to shoot right for the UFC. There's no like stopping here to work on it or work on this or work on this, because I've already took all that time as an
Hmm.
amateur, as an early fighter, to develop to where when I get to pro I can just shoot straight up to the big leagues.
And that makes all the sense, and it does seem like that's a big emphasis at Mid City MMA. Is like, hey, let's get these guys prepared. We're not going to throw them to the wolves. We want to
Hmm.
build them up, like you said. Let's learn from our mistakes. If we get a loss, you learn from the loss. But hey, like by the time you're ready to go pro, like you said, 22, 23 years old, you're polished.
Yeah.
You have all that experience behind it. But being 19, MMA's been around since you've been alive. You're one of the first generations that can actually say, hey, since I was born, mixed martial arts has been a sport, in
Hmm.
the United States, because that's when it get Forrest Griffin years and stuff. It came out around this time, around that time. So was MMA something you was always interested in as a kid? And when did you start actually training?
So not necessarily. I always played
Okay.
sports as a kid, basketball, baseball, whatever it was. I was always playing. Basketball became my main sport through like middle school to high school, and then I just got there, and I just kind of fell out of love with it. Didn't want to do it anymore, and actually one of my friends got me to go wrestle in like fifth grade, and I quit after like 3 days. I was like, this ain't for me. And then after basketball, I had the desire to go back and try it again. And after that, I was I was like, yeah, this is I want to get good at wrestling. And then I wrestled for about 2 years, I would say, and I fractured. I was actually during an intramural duel, so I was wrestling against my own teammate,
Mm.
and he did an illegal arm throw, and he threw me back,
Oh,
and I fractured my T1 in my back. And at the
oh,
time, I didn't know, but I remember like maybe like a few weeks later, went to a dual meet or something, and I couldn't move. I'm trying to turn my neck, and I got to turn my whole body like this, and I got checked out, so I had to take a break from that. And as soon as I took a break, it was like I just didn't want to go back to wrestling. And I remember sitting there on the couch with my dad in the backyard, and I was like, I just had the desire. It was just it was put in me, to just do MMA. Just the thought of just like I remember thinking about just Dustin Poirier, just how he's rolling punches and firing back, and I was like that that lights a fire in me. That's what gets me excited. That's what gets me thrilled. So I was like, yeah, Dad, this is something I want to do. And my dad, he points the phone at me, and it's like a picture of like 6 guys, and they're just black belts, and he just looks studded out. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's where we're going tomorrow. So, and then from there, just walked in, and that was my, I knew that's where I belonged.
Awesome, dude. Awesome, dude. That's a great story. So, who
Yeah.
would you say is your biggest influence as far as a mixed martial artist? Would it be Poirier?
Um, I say there's a few guys. Favorite fighter or favorite influence?
We can go both. Give us your favorite fighter and your favorite MMA influence.
Yeah. Definitely Dustin Poirier. Him being from Louisiana, the grit he has, like the everything he has is just when seeing him in New Orleans, and it's just one of those fighters who brings a feeling to you. It's like, all right, like this guy's got something.
Yes.
But lately my favorite fighters has been like um, Taporia. I'm a big
Mm.
Taporia guy. I mean, who doesn't like a guy who just goes out there and just completely puts people to sleep, sends them to the Darklands? I mean, I love watching him. And then Mauricio Rufy.
Mm.
His striking and the way he fights is just that's like art. Like that's how I see fighting. I don't see fighting as more of like a violence thing. I see it as like outmaneuvering somebody, making things miss by just barely an inch. It's things like that, like the
Mm.
art aspects of fighting that really make me love the sport. And Mauricio Rufy is one of those guys who's got that down.
Dude,
So
he's going against Armin Sarzukian here in September 19th,
yeah.
dude. Van and Pantoja.
Who do you got between
How
those
you
two?
think? Yeah, man, I got Van. I got Van. I'm not taking nothing away from Pantoja though.
Yeah,
Pantoja is a badass, dude. He is awesome. Pantoja could easily beat Van. I
yeah,
just think Van's so slick on the feet. And I think he probably still would have won even if Pantoja doesn't get injured in that fight. And Van, he's so young, dude. He's
yeah,
25.
yeah.
Like that's the
25.
that's the future of that division. And Pantoja's been there though, so I'm not gonna. It's kind of a hard.
Mhm.
It's kind of a hard
Yeah,
one to pick. Now, Rufi and Orman, I don't know, dude. That's gonna be
yeah. That's gonna
Armin's
be
a
awesome. Yeah.
Armin's a tank, man. He's just a tank. If Rufy can stop him, maybe good takedown defense and like kind of keep his distance from him and
Yeah.
kind of pick him apart. But who you think?
Between Pantoja and Van, like you said, Van's so slick on the feet, and he's definitely one of them guys who just has that thing. Because
Yeah,
I mean, he started. I don't know what age it was, but recently, a couple years ago,
recently,
and now he's
yes,
a UFC world champion. So he's just one of those guys who has that thing in him. But so, I mean, people say it was a fluke with the first one, but I think Van belongs up there
yeah,
fighting Pantoja. So I'm gonna go Van, and then with Rufy, I mean him training with Volk, after the Benoit Saint Denis loss with the grappling, I think him training with Volk, his wrestling and his grappling has definitely gotten better. I wouldn't say it's better than Armin's, but I think it's definitely gotten better. And then his striking, I mean, I think he's one of the best strikers in the UFC. So
yeah,
I think
easily.
Rufy takes it. I think he maybe catches him on the way in or something. Um, but I mean, you can see all the time with like people who are like not grapplers going against grapplers. If you have that grappling, you can get that guy off. You can stand back up.
Yeah,
You gotta find your shot on the feet. So I think Rufy. I think
yeah,
Rufy and
and
Vance.
we seen it last night with Ian and Islam because
Mhm.
Islam got Ian down a lot. But
Yeah,
he was, dude, at the end of the fight, Islam had all the damage and Ian had none.
yeah,
Islam won on control time last night. But
yeah,
Ian showed not being a grappler. Like, he kept getting back to his feet, kept getting to his knees. Like, Ian, at one point, I thought Islam was going to run out of gas in the
yeah.
third round, because, like, Ian just kept, like, stuffing and stuffing. Islam's just so relentless, though. Them Dagestani guys, dude, they're just,
They're animals.
it's a different breed up there of just, when you wrestle in bears, that's
Yeah,
something, that's something to
yeah.
talk about. So who you think, okay, with Islam beating Gary, do you think Islam is could be considered the greatest of all time?
He definitely up there. Um, Greatest of all time though, I don't know. Um, I feel like people throw that around too easily. They just, we're talking about the greatest of all time in the sport. Um, as I feel like there's so many other world champions that are like could compare to Islam, and to say there could be the best, the greatest of all time. It's like I feel like we just throw that around a little too easy. I
Yeah.
definitely think he's worthy of it for sure, but I don't know if I would give him the greatest of all time yet. Not yet.
And I think fighting is a lot like basketball greatest of all times. Like basketball,
Yeah,
you got to do it in errors.
yeah.
Like you can't say LeBron is better than Jordan or Jordan was better than LeBron. It was two different eras.
Two
The
different eras.
fouls were
Yeah,
different, yeah. And fighting seems like that because you can't tell me these guys were better than Chuck Liddell in Chuck Liddell's
yeah,
prime. You couldn't tell me like all. So when you look at people's primes, even we always reference back Michael Chandler back in his Cage Warrior days. In his prime, Chandler was an animal. He gets to the UFC late and he doesn't look like that same guy. But if you fought Chandler 5 years, 6 years ago in Cage Warriors,
yeah.
he probably would have smoked everybody.
Definitely.
So it goes in these, and even with Islam just breaking Anderson Silva's record. People
Mhm.
can't say that Anderson Silva wasn't the
Silver, yeah,
greatest of all
exactly,
time. Like
exactly.
Silva was just another Islam before Islam was even thought of. So
Mhm.
it's one. It's
Yeah.
it's just really one of those
I mean,
things.
it's like with everything. Like
Yeah,
every everything evolutionizes. Everything gets better. Like whether it's an animal that adapts to its natural habitat,
yeah.
that evolutionizes. It's the same with everything. The fight game, it evolutionizes. Basketball, it evolutionizes. So, the guys that were back in the day, they might not be as good as the guys now because the fight game has evolutionized. But back in their time, that they were the greatest of all time back in their time. So I can agree with that for sure. That definitely, it definitely should go by era because everything just evolutionizes. So yeah,
Everything.
during this era, Islam could definitely be one of the greatest of all times. But like you said, back in the day, it could have been Chuck Liddell, could have been Anderson Silva. So yeah, definitely by
Could
era.
have Horace Gracie. I
Yeah,
mean, you had so
exactly. Yeah,
many
yeah,
Dan Severin, Ken Shamrock. Like you had so
yeah,
many so many great people.
yeah, yeah,
Great. So I want to talk to you about because I'm a born again Christian. I was 6 years ago. I got sober and I got saved at our
yeah.
Savior's Church in Jennings. And you're a big believer.
Yeah, yeah,
We even
definitely.
talked went to church today where we kind of had our podcast. We're going to go to church today and
Mhm.
everything. Were you born? Well, your religious side. Were you born up religious, or is it just something that you found yourself?
Yeah, I was born religious, like baptized as a kid, got my first Eucharist. I went to Catholic school, so I was around it all the time. I wouldn't say I took it serious until probably 2 years ago, a year and a
Mm,
half, maybe a little less. Um, just I wouldn't say it was anything like super like big crazy testimony, but it was something where I always kind of like I always knew God was real. I always knew He was there, but I was still living for the world. Um,
yep.
and then I kind of just found Him, and then from there I just started getting like growing in my relationship with Him, becoming stronger with Him, closer with Him, and He plays a big part in my life, and to where like when fighting with everything, it's just he plays a big part in my life and get me to where I need to be. Going like, for example, I'm about to fight this guy. I'm 2-0. My last fight didn't go how I wanted to. Obviously, I got the first round submission, but just the feelings I felt in there, how I performed, they didn't feel good. And then now I'm about to go fight for Fury on one of the biggest promotions. My one of my best friends is main eventing. So I got his people, I got my people, I got everybody's local. So I got a bunch of people there for me, and I'm like, in my head, I don't know what's about to happen out there. I don't know if I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna get knocked out. I don't know if I'm gonna knock out him. I really don't know what's about to happen because I've never fought a game opponent like him. Obviously he's a step up, and then I'm on the biggest stage I've been on so far. So it was more, instead of stressing, it was like, I'm giving this to God. I'm putting this in His hands, and I'm gonna just go out there and honor Him through it. So just like those like things, those things, it just gets me through. It gets me over them situations that many people I feel like would struggle with without Him. Just giving it in His hands, putting it in His hands, and moving forward. Yeah.
Let go and let
Let
God,
go, let
man.
go, and let God. Exactly. And I feel like we need
Amen,
that
brother.
in this
Amen.
big
And
fight
and
game.
that's what and honestly, that's what drew me to you
Mhm.
because when you were on the mic for your post fight interview, me and my old lady were sitting right there, and the first thing you said is, "I want to thank my Lord and Savior Jesus
Yeah,
Christ." And I looked at my old lady. I was like, We're gonna have to
yeah,
interview him. Like,
yeah,
I hope we're gonna reach out to him. It's just, it's a wonderful thing. People believe what they want. People do what they want. I'm not here to preach or be a
yeah,
Bible
yeah,
thumper
yeah.
with anybody. Hey, you find your own path. You find your own way. Just know there is a God, and Jesus loves you.
Yeah, exactly,
And
exactly.
and
Amen to
we'll,
that.
and we'll leave it like that. So you said you're looking to get one more fight this year.
Yeah.
Is that in November when Fury plans on coming back?
So I think they decided to plan on coming back in December. Like
Okay.
nothing's official, but they posted on their story little thing. It was like I think it was like Fury December with the eye emojis. So I know that it's not, for sure, but I know we got some guys planning on fighting on that card and stuff. So if they come back, I would definitely um probably get on that card. If not though, whatever else is open, um, like you say, I let it. I know what you kind of know when the time's right to step back in there. It's like it's kind of that feeling. All right, we're doing it now. So
Right.
yeah,
You get into
probably.
that flow. You get into that flow state.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly. It's
yeah.
like
I,
it's time. It's coming. So
I could see that. Now, you being such a young fighter, what's the one thing from your first three amateur fights that you really feel that you need to improve on? From watching them back, you've got you're going up and up in promotion. What's that one thing that you kind of feel like you need to improve on and get better to kind of bring your game to the next level?
um, I wouldn't say more of like super like big things to improve on. It's more of realizing what actually works and what things actually work and more. I feel like in my early fights it was more I had the skill. They hold us back for a little bit to make sure we're ready. They make sure that, like you said, they're not just throwing us to the wolves. So it's like, oh, I know my skills are good, but it's how I'm using my skills in there, what actually works in there. You could be practicing something in the training room for years, and you go in there and the fight and doesn't work. So it's realizing what actually works, putting time and effort into things that are gonna work in the cage, and going through the mental and the physical, like there's so much mental and nerves and stress that you go through getting in there. And so it's more, I'm feeling out the last two fights, at least for me, have been more mental and just realizing what actually works. And um yeah, that's pretty much it, just realizing what actually works, and gaining my confidence, knowing I could step in there with anybody they put in front of me. That's the
Right.
main thing. This fight for me was just kind of figuring out who I am as a fighter and as a person. Like, can I really do this? Is this something that's actually for me? When I After this last fight, I'm like, okay, I can actually do this. This stuff actually works, and I just gotta keep showing up, keep doing what I'm doing. I think I could take it to the top.
And you're gonna be next, man. You keep on this. You keep on the path, and you keep. And I've heard behind the scenes from Sean and Merrick and Jason and a couple other people about how you are. You got a right head on your shoulders. You show up every day, and you keep just grinding. And that's it. You just got to keep pounding. You just got to keep you chopping that wood, chopping that wood, chopping that wood. Now, now the next question I have for you is, and I just went completely blank. So just excuse me right there because I had this
Yeah,
question
good.
and then I just looked at something and it threw me all off. But so what would you say is a typical fight camp for you? Jason had told me he likes a good 8 weeks. Is 8 weeks something that you like to have before getting into the octagon?
I definitely 100%.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with 8 weeks. So I mean, out of fight camp, I don't like to go like too crazy. Obviously, I'm doing the things that I couldn't do in fight camp. I'm eating stuff. Going to hang out with friends, things like that. So, I'm training 24/7 out of fight camp. I'm still training 24/7. Everything's good, but weight may be a little heavy. I might be hanging out with friends, so if all of a sudden I had, been told I got a 4 week fight camp, it's like going from 100 to zero. It's
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I was doing all this, and now I just got to completely stop it all. That's the stuff that I think makes it hard. But having 8 weeks, it's like, okay, boom, at 8 weeks, we're starting to eat a little healthier, but maybe I'll still sprinkle in fast food here and there. Or, we're, at 6 weeks, I'm done hanging out with my friends on the weekend. I'm going home and I'm getting rest. And it's just things like that where you kind of just simmer it down as it goes. And then by 4 weeks, you're completely locked in. You get a hard push for 4 weeks and you're ready to go. And at that point in the 4 weeks, you don't want to go hang out with friends. You don't, you obviously you want to eat. You always want to eat.
I always want to
But
eat Louisiana,
bro,
bro. You gotta
yeah,
have that good
yeah,
food.
exactly. Being in Louisiana definitely makes it harder too. You got all this good food. I'm watching Instagram reels, and it's just, the
Food.
best food ever on my For You page. So it definitely makes it hard being here and dieting. So, but it all
Oh,
pays off in the
definitely.
end. Going out to eat
What
after, it all makes it way, way, way more enjoyable.
what's your favorite pre-cut weight meal? Like after you've cut your weight, after you made weight, what's your favorite meal?
Sushi. I'm after sushi
Sushi,
100%.
sushi guy, huh?
I love sushi. My last two fights, I didn't do it on my second fight, but my first and my third fight, I went to Rock and Sake after, and
Mm.
it just I just stuffed my face. Like it's amazing. And I think I'm pretty sure that's I looked it up or something. It's like the best rehydration or refueling thing after, cuz it's rice, it's fish, it's
Yes.
it's all the right things to put in your body. So it's not like I'm just putting terrible things in my body, but I love sushi. Love it, love it, love
Yeah,
it.
not gonna get some triple cheeseburgers from McDonald's, and
Exactly.
just woofing them down, dude. Just
That's
woofing
the
them
night
down.
after. That's the night after.
So what has fighting, this was my question before that I just forgot. So what has fighting taught you about yourself? Being 19, a lot of people don't have adversity at 19. A lot
Yeah.
of people don't have something that or any kind of thing they find to give them that push and that adversity. What has fighting taught you about yourself at such a young age?
I feel like fighting's done a lot for me. It's given me purpose. This that you have. When like I said, after that week of training, you have a bunch of free time, and it's kind of like there's so much time where it's like that's what be filled with training. It's kind of like what do I do with myself?
Mm,
So it gives me purpose. And it really taught me that I can do anything I put my mind to. Um, there's so much I've overcame in the sport, late night like working and stuff. Um, Putting in extra hours, showing up every day on time, doing all the stuff I need to do. It taught me about myself that I can do anything I put my mind to. I'm capable. I can be one of those guys. I'm no different than anybody else. Um, that's really it. Just taught me I could play. Like if I did anything else in my life since I did fighting, I believe that I could succeed at 100%. I know that if I put in the work, I know how to put in the work the right way, and with that, I just fighting has taught me more than anything else could. I believe. I mean, it's just like to test it myself. You go through so much hardships. I mean, it's fighting. It's hard practices. It's things you don't want to
yeah.
do all the time. It's going to step in a cage in front of like a bunch of people. Sometimes it feels like you're forcing yourself to do it. Because in that moment, you don't know if you want to be there or not, and it's a bunch of nerves, and it's helped me overcome so much and know and believe in myself. That's a big thing, believing in myself, knowing that I can do this, and my confidence. It's done so much for me to make me a better person, and my work ethic. It's just a lot of things, to be honest.
Yeah, and I can see that because even Joe Rogan talks about it a lot. Do the most difficult things, and the rest of life just seems easy.
Yeah,
Like
sure.
and when you're just getting strangled by
Yeah.
somebody and you got no control over it,
Hmm.
whenever somebody cuts you off at a red light, it ain't really that big of a
Yeah,
deal. You know what
exactly,
I'm saying? Like
exactly.
I just got my head almost popped like a pimple
Hmm.
back there.
Yeah,
So we
definitely.
want to give you the chance right here, Bryce. And once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for coming
Yes,
on.
sir.
Any
Thank you.
sponsors or any shout outs that you want to give, and the floor is yours, and we'll make sure you send us everybody that we shout out, and we'll put their image up and their logo up, to give them their little airtime. So any sponsors or anything you want to shout out, go ahead and the floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't have any sponsors. I do plan on doing them for my next fight. I kind of procrastinated them for this one, but
Mm,
I gotta shout out God, shout out Jesus. This is He puts me in these
amen.
positions. Like I said,
Amen.
he puts me on the right path. But I gotta thank my family. Being
Mm,
19, so young. I don't have a job really. Like I work a little bit here and there. I go to school and then I train. And my parents, they give me the opportunity to train and not have to worry about other things that adults would have to worry about. So I'm very thankful, grateful for them, and then yeah, my dad, my mom, they play a huge part in this, and then my coaches, my teammates, they just push me in the training room, get me to where I need to be. So those are the main people in my life, and that they get me to where I need to be and keep my head on straight. Because fighting could be a lonely sport. It's just you in there,
yep.
and it's just it's no one cares about your career more than you do.
Yep.
So to have it gets lonely sometimes. It gets a little overwhelming. So these guys keep my head on straight. My family, friends, and God. That's really who keep me going.
And keep your eyes set on the prize of Jesus
Hmm.
Christ, dude. It's
Yeah,
gonna lead you
100%,
where you're
hundred
supposed to go.
percent.
So before I let you go though, because I'm looking at your tapology, and I didn't think so because I don't remember hearing one, but no nickname yet. So
No.
when are we gonna get a nickname? Do you have something brewing up for a nickname? Or is there something like
So
in the brain?
what's funny is after the Fury fight, my dad texted me and he was like, um everybody loves that name, by the way. I was like, what name are you talking about? He was like, Bout It. And I was like, Bout It. I was like, where'd you get that from? And they were like, when I was walking out, the Fury announcer was like, oh, Bryce doesn't have a nickname or whatever, it should be Bout It. So I think it might be Bryce Bout It Bowden.
Oh, dude,
I'm
that's
starting to fall in love with
gangster,
that one.
bro.
Yeah,
That's gang. You gotta make
yeah,
shirts for that,
yeah.
dude. As soon
No,
as you do, I
definitely.
want one.
That's
I
what I'm saying.
definitely
It's
want
like
one.
it all just flows together. I ran it by a few people. They all like, okay, that I like that one. So I think that might be it. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna debut it for the next fight. I'm gonna
Bryce Boudin Bowden, bro. You heard it here first. Bryce Boudin Bowden. Thank
about it.
his pops and thank the Fury commentators because, dude, that's
Mhm.
clutch. And we want to thank you, Bryce, for your time. Thank you for coming on. Bryce Boudin Bowden. Like, I love it. I love the nickname. Next time you're in the octagon, whether it's Fury, whether it's Bayou Fighting Championship, LFL, whatever it is, we will be there as long as it's in the area. And
Mhm.
what a great up and coming guy. What a great
Yep.
kid. And
Thank
dude,
you.
we're proud of you and we wish you all of the best. And we
Thank
can't
you.
wait to see you back out there, buddy.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. Yeah, I really appreciate it. It's been it was an awesome time talking to you.
Awesome, buddy. Awesome. And we'll try to get you on after your next fight.
Of
And we'll
course.
just keep on going. Maybe we can bring in a bunch of Mid City MMA
That'd
guys,
be
and we
awesome.
can
Yeah,
all we have
that'd be
like a
awesome.
round table and just talk about it. But this
Yeah.
has been episode 20, the Meatzy Show, MMA Roundhouse. We'll be back next week talking to somebody about something. Peace.
Being one champion, top of the line. Yeah, everything came together, planets align. This really what we do, we in it for life. Nah, ay. Being one champion, top of the line. Yeah, everything came together, planets align. This really what we do, we in it for life.